Hey, what's up, Lightbolt Joe here. Today we are going to discuss Friday the 13th, Part 2. I have my list, I have my notes. We're good to go. Okay, so Friday the 13th, Part 1 came out May 9th, 1980, directed by Sean S. Cunningham. Friday the 13th, Part 2, this one that we're discussing, came out April 30th, 1981, directed by Steve Miner. And then Steve Miner went to direct the third part as well. So, timeline, we start out 2 months after the events at Camp Crystal Lake. Alice is on the phone with her mom. Jason somehow puts his mom, Pamela Voorhees' head in her refrigerator, kills Alice. Her body is missing. No one can find her. Flash forward. Now we're 5 years later. There's a camp on the other side of Camp Crystal Lake. Oh, Hardin, New Jersey. That's where they filmed the first one. I don't know if the second one was filmed in Hardin, New Jersey, but I know Camp Crystal Lake is based off of the camp. I don't remember the name of it, but it's an old like Boy Scout camp. It's been around for like a century, a long time. 5 years later, a new camp on the other side of the lake is prepping to open. There are a bunch of late teen, early 20 counselors there. Summer fun, 2 weeks prep, same concept before the kids come again. Crazy Ralph is back, spreading the "you're all doomed." And then Jason eventually kills him. So then they go over the legend of Jason that's been passed on, since Jason drowned when he was 12. But then also the fact that it's been years and there's still spooky stuff that goes on around the camp. It goes on around the lake. There we go. So eventually we come across a sheriff chasing a man who happens to be an adult Jason into this broken down trailer. His mom's, shriveled his mommy's mummy head, I like that, is on an altar with candles. Jason then kills that sheriff. He keeps all the bodies that he's killing now around camp, around the lake, in this trailer. And we see a lot of that in the remake, the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th, which we'll talk about moving forward, because that takes place, that is a remake of Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3, respectively. We'll go into that again. So, the final girl in the first film was Alice, and then she dies at the beginning of this film. The final girl at the end of this film, after Jason goes on his killing spree, is Ginny. So the question is, does Ginny survive? We have to watch the third to find out, I'm assuming. I've seen all of them already, so we'll just keep talking. But remember what I said, the end of the last kind of branches into the next. It's kind of like a nice little slope that way. So, what was neat about this is that we had the first person, I'm just going to close this, killer perspective. Again, we have Jason with a machete, we have Jason with a knife, we have Jason with a screwdriver, we have Jason with a chainsaw, we got Jason with an axe, Jason with a bunch of stuff. Jason has dickies on, and he's got a blue shirt on, and he has like a burlap sack over his head for a mask. At the very end, we get the deformed head of Jason jumping through a window, grabbing Ginny, and then Ginny wakes up, in an ambulance saying, "Paul, where's Paul?" So it's a matter of, does Paul live? Is Muffin the dog alive? I like that there was a character in a wheelchair, so they kind of played along the how does Jason murder a kid in their 20s in a wheelchair while you, of course, stab them in the head and then roll them down the hill and let gravity do its trick. It was very interesting because it was different. It was a different type of kill. And it's like you're playing a video game, kind of, in the first person perspective of seeing Jason's hand do this and Jason's hand go like that and things like that. Your typical early 80s horror film. You got your naked girls, you got your kids having sex, you got your kids drinking a lot and partying and having a good time and then getting murdered off. So it's like you're rooting for the villain because you're like, you dumb kid, you shouldn't turn left, you should have turned right. That kind of thing. It's funny because the older you get and the more horror films you watch, the less you feel bad for the victims because they're idiots most of the time. Why go up the stairs when there's no way out unless you jump through a window? So that's what was cool about Ginny's character, is because she actually literally jumped out a window to escape what was going on. I was like, haha, the girl's smart. That's why she's the final girl. The final girl is just a horror statement, a saying. There's actually a movie called The Final Girl, where there's always a female heroine at the end of the film who survives. It's just how it is. We get Alice in the first one. We get Ginny in the second one. We'll see what happens with the third, fourth, fifth, etc. Sigourney Weaver is technically a final girl within the Alien franchise. Captain Ripley is a final girl. She survived these xenomorph attacks constantly. She's a final girl. So, who else? Neve Campbell's a final girl for Scream. We have a slew of other people as final girls. But yeah, this was a nice sequel, which explained a lot with Jason folklore. He's kind of a zombie, but he's not kind of a zombie because he can get stabbed and beaten like profusely, but he can always like come back and like kill people. So like it's not a matter of regeneration, it's a matter of when he jumps through the window to attack Ginny, he has a machete through his back and he's attacking Ginny. So like Jason can't die. So we're in the process now of Jason becoming that zombie intense killer that we know and love, but like Jason originally was a drowned victim who then was a drowned victim, but the body was never recovered. So then he just grew up and then watched his mom get killed, and then now is keeping his mom's head in a shrine, and then killing on her behalf anyone who comes near any form of Camp Crystal Lake. So, yeah, cool times. Good addition to the franchise. On to the third, Mucho mahalo.